We're going. Okay, everybody. Welcome to Houston with a Problem. It is Charity Tuesday. Woohoo! Fantastic. We are raising money for Care USA. Care is a nonprofit around all over the world. They specifically help out in situations where children might not be getting the nutrition they need, such as Ukraine, and specifically today we are raising money for Sri Lanka. If you don't know, Sri Lanka has no food. They ordered in bulk as a nation a whole bunch of fertilizer from China that turned out to be toxic and killed all of their crops. So millions and millions and millions of people in Sri Lanka have no access to food right now. Coupled with that, they got most of their oil imports from Russia, and they have no oil. So they've got no way to move around the country. They've got no food, no way to distribute food that gets there. They're in some real bad shape. So our charity today is for Care USA, raising money, hoping to help those folks in Sri Lanka. And so if you're watching this video recorded, go into the little corner over here. You can click that donate button anytime. So if you watch this show 6 months from now, you can still donate. Every penny goes straight through the process to Care USA. And all the advertising on this, if you watch a commercial, that penny from that commercial goes to Care USA as well. So by thousands of you watching this, you'll be able to raise a bunch of money for this great program and feed a bunch of kids. It's through no fault of their own that the adults running the world have screwed everything up. And that's where we are. So these Charity Tuesdays are fantastic. And I thank all of you so much for donating already. We're already at $43. We're already 4.3% of our way to our $1,000 goal. Let's hope we can get to that $1,000. I feel like right now at the moment, inflation's hitting us all really hard. So we're going to shoot for that 1,000. I don't know if we're going to do it. We're going to shoot for it. And until then, you get one of these. All right. So you also get to listen to the dogs chew on their bones. Yeah, you're staring at me because I told you your bone is loud, didn't you? Yeah, you're real loud with that bone. Okay. Again, thanks so much for those who donated even before we began the show today. It's fantastic. There's a bunch of news hitting, and I don't know what any of it means. For some reason, 30-year fixed mortgage rates fell off a cliff today. They dropped from 5.5% to like 3.5% in just today. And I can't find any explanation as to why. Why, when interest rates in general are going up, all of a sudden housing interest rates fell off a cliff? Is it because no one's applying for mortgages? And they're trying to remain competitive? I don't know. I have no idea what could possibly have caused that. The other thing is NSC 2022-003 apparently got approved, despite the fact that, as far as I could tell, 100% of comments were against it. Now, this is the rule that essentially allows short hedge funds that have gigantic exposure to naked shorts to essentially generate more naked shorts to cover their position day of and avoid liquidation. It also allows these SFTs, essentially a loan program. I might be screwing up my terminology, but there's essentially a loan program where if a hedge fund is facing liquidation, they give their assets to a lender. That lender gives them cash to close their positions, and it counts as a loan and not a liquidation. Essentially, it's a black market deal for assets. Won't get recorded as selling those assets through the market, which is what should happen. It's a transfer of assets for cash for a loan the hedge fund will never be able to take care of because the hedge fund is now out of assets. Tells me two things. One, the NSCC, DTCC, everyone else don't give a shit about us. Two, they know MOAS is imminent. And this law is specifically created to cushion the blow to hedge funds for when everything goes tits up. And that's what we're looking at. Excuse me today. Pollen is absolutely just murdering me right now. And I may end up whispering the second half of the show. It's been raining for a month straight and 2 days of sunshine, and all of a sudden trees are like just jizzing everywhere. I got Zyrtec in me. Hopefully we can do this. And Oh, there's other big news. The Fed is pushing for quantitative tightening. So rather than buying up assets, they're not going to be selling assets. And their goal is by sometime next year to have dumped $7.5 trillion in securities that they gobbled up over the past few years. That is going to bring the price of everything down. They're starting out at, I think, $40-something billion a month for the first 3 months. So until September. And starting in September, they're going to be selling almost $100 billion a month. And they're going to up that again. So expect to see the prices of blue chips, bonds, everything else start to drop as the Fed dumps $7.5 trillion in assets. So if you thought the first part of this year was pretty rough for the SPY and the Dow, it's going to get a lot worse as the Fed plunge protection team stops doing their thing and they start selling off all those assets. So MOAS is coming. MOAS is coming. What else is in the news, monkey? Earnings report tomorrow for GameStop. Shareholders meeting Thursday for GameStop. I saw the shorts hit GameStop hard today. Try to push the price down to the 120s. I'm sure they're going to keep trying to do it all week because there's a lot of news coming out. And I'm really curious to see what the earnings report is like. Has GameStop finished investing in their warehouse network? And all of a sudden they're going to show like huge gains? Whoa. I hope so. All right, we're at $70. Already time for some thank yous already. So let's do our thank yous here. 40-ounce Oracle, thank you. Julianne, thank you. Andrew Stewart, thank you so much. Legacy 10 Productions, thank you. Anonymous, thank you, Anonymous. Luke Alexander, thank you. Another Anonymous. Marvin G, another Anonymous. Bobby Norwood, thank you so much. All right, we're there for $70, 7% of our way to our $1,000 goal to raise a bunch of money to help out some kids. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I know it. We're going to do it just as my voice fails for the day. Okay. Where did we start here? All right, let's just go to the chat. Okay. Unpaid overtime, anything on 30-year mortgage rates? I have no idea what the excuse is going to be as to why those rates just plummeted. The bottom fell out. No idea. I can't think of a single one beyond it was explicitly designed to happen. And by whom? I don't know. Why would rates just plummet like that? That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I don't know. 40-ounce Oracle. Houston, please explain anodization to me. My piercer anodized some jewelry for me in like 2 minutes, and I'm convinced it's witchcraft. Oh, man, my brother be the one who talked about anodization. Oakley loved doing that stuff. Anodization. Oh, okay. So basically they combine the surface of the material with an oxide finish. So they usually do non-ferrous metals. So you got your aluminums, titanium, magnesium. And let's see here. What else do they do to do that? Yeah. I have like a watch that has an anodized watch band. Like, it kind of gives it like a little bit of oil slick looking colors to it. But yeah, it's an electronic process they use to basically lock in oxygen oxides with the finish so that you don't rust later because you already occupied all the free radical spaces for those oxygens. That's as much as I can describe it. So yeah, zip zop. They electrocute it and get some oxygen to bond on there. Excuse me. Okay. And then Black Udon just reads the exact same thing that I just read. Oh, I'll explain it to you via the Google. Oh. Okay. Lost Waves, up with your boy Kenny, and the crazy short interest. Should we expect new lows by end of this week? I'm very curious to see how this plays out. In the past, when good news is revealed, they hammer the price down. So I'm hoping we get a little bit of push, maybe tomorrow. 'Cause I do have a call expire on Friday. Probably should have cashed out this last Friday, but anyway, uh, uh, there is room. There's room in there for all sorts of crazy things to happen. I was really thinking today we were gonna get some gamma, but we didn't get gamma today. We got shorted like crazy. So maybe tomorrow. That's the T+2 tomorrow. Maybe we'll get a little bit tomorrow. Whatever the earnings is after. When is earnings tomorrow? I guess it's after close. GME earnings report. After market close tomorrow. Okay. Maybe I'll have my act together and we can do a live earnings report. So 4 p.m. East Coast ish tomorrow. That's okay. We can wait for that. All right. Holy smokes! We just jumped up to $311 without me even paying attention. I mean, I got some thank yous to do already. Okay, we left off at Bobby. Where did Bobby go? Lexi 10. Anonymous. Bobby. Okay, Bobby Norwood and Javi A. Thank you. Cream of the Crop. Thank you. Anonymous. Dog Toggler. M. Hobson. Thank you. Grandpa Barney. Thank you. Ooh, Grandpa Barney. Thank you. Salient Sapien. Thank you. Another Anonymous. Thank you so much. And Tony Tran. Thank you, everybody. Helping those kids out with Care USA, who are feeding children all around the globe, especially those right now in Ukraine and Sri Lanka that are in desperate need of nutrition. And your money is helping us out here. So thank you. Thank you so much. Great. Houston, happy birthday. Need to send my votes to the GME annual meeting, but don't really know any of the names of the board members besides Ryan. What's the consensus here and what to approve? I just approved all the board members. Ryan Cohen, he knows who he wants on the board, and that's who is on the board. With AMC, I said no to all the board members because I don't trust any of them. So the exact opposite. I don't trust a single one of those folks. But I trust who Ryan Cohen has surrounded himself with to screw over the short hedge funds, and they know exactly what they're doing. And that's the team that they've assembled, and I'm totally cool with it. Chris, are you ready for hedgy shenanigans tomorrow and Thursday for the earnings? Yes. I bet tomorrow everything goes fine. After hours, probably just get hammered at earnings. Be my guess. Just hammer us down. They're doing a weird thing. They're splitting the earnings and the shareholders meeting up in the two meetings over 2 different days. And there must be a reason for that, must be a plan for that. And they set all that up specifically for these dates. I'm sure folks will believe that has to do with the executive order eliminating Chinese bonds associated with the Chinese military expiring on Friday, or going into place on Friday. Leaves a whole bunch of companies in China that you can no longer invest in, or you can invest in, but you can't count it towards your assets under management. So there's going to be a sell-off of Chinese bonds. At the same time, China is trying to divest from U.S. companies and U.S. bonds. The speculation is that they're going to invade Taiwan, and they don't want U.S. bonds to muck all that up. So, man, global politics are a mess, and that's where we are. Peace Tech, Houston, what's the deal with Lyme disease? Why is it so difficult to cure, and why don't we have a vaccine for it yet? Well, we had a vaccine for Lyme disease back in the 90s, and no one took it. So the maker of the vaccine would, you know what, we're not going to invest any more money in this, and they just took it off the market because they were losing money on it because nobody was taking it. Now we've got a gigantic Lyme disease problem across the entire United States. We didn't have deer ticks out west until a few years ago, and now we have a whole bunch have made it to this side of the country, and lots of folks I know have gotten Lyme disease in the past few years. It's brutal. You go for a long time being undiagnosed and just feeling like crap, and once that bacteria has gotten into all of your joints and organs and everything, it's really, really hard to treat after that with antibiotic regimens. You got to cut stuff out of your diet. You got to, rest up and take care of yourself in a big way. And yeah, the treatment could take a long time if you don't know it right away. If you get bit somewhere where it's noticeable and you see the bullseye pattern from the tick appear, then that's cool. But if you get bit in the head, you can't see that. You won't see that bullseye pattern because your hair's covering it. So yeah, that's why Lyme disease is brutal. A lot of other diseases seem to get diagnosed instead of Lyme disease. So people may think they have ALS or Parkinson's or something else, and it turns out it's just Lyme disease. So if you've been diagnosed with a neurodegenerative disorder, make sure you get a test for Lyme disease and make sure you aren't misdiagnosed. That's something I would recommend. Not a doctor, but that's worked for several friends I've had who turned out that they didn't have multiple sclerosis. They just had Lyme disease that had gone untreated for years. So it's brutal. I wish they would come out with another vaccine and make it part of our normal vaccine regimen, because ticks give me the heebie-jeebies, and I do not want them on me. And I don't want their little diseases from their little deer friends. So no. Ugh. First name, last name, Houston. I enjoy metal detecting, but I haven't gone since the start of COVID. Any tips on where to go for cool treasure? I'm in Jersey and comb the beaches for easy finds, but really want to find coins. Old coins. Oh, man. I don't know about back east. Here, if you want to find old coins and stuff, you look for logging camps. They're all over the place in the Pacific Northwest. I don't know what type of logging camps you'd have out east, because most of the logging probably got done before we were a nation for a lot of that area. Civil War battlefields, Revolutionary War battlefields, those can be cool spots. You won't necessarily find coins, but you'll find musket balls and things like that. Dude, no one's here. Just stop it. Stop it right now. Nope. Stop it. So, dogs resetting my brain every time he barks. Just, Snoopy. Come on. Come on. Get in here, you big dumb idiot. Yeah, no one's here. No one's here. You're barking at nothing. There isn't a single person here. No one cares about your existence. No one cares about my existence. They're not here. There's no one here. You don't have to yell at everything. It's so easy to just go through life chilling out. That's all I have to do. All I have to do is chill out. We're talking about metal detecting. Oh yeah. And it's not really any ghost towns per se out east. There are like a bunch of dying manufacturing towns in like upstate New York. You can find cool stuff up there. But yeah, beaches are the easy way to go because people lose tennis bracelets and rings and all sorts of stuff on the beach, and you can scoop them all up. Andrew Stewart, Houston, what do you think about SEF, an inverse ETF on big banks? I like the idea. Went like a rocket in '08. That sounds good. News out today, Bank of America is not doing well. Wells Fargo is not doing well. Credit Suisse is not doing well at all. Those three are really in trouble right now. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of others that their names aren't quite as big that we'll hear about later. But we had big collapses of investment banks and savings and loans and commercial banks in '08. And I think we're well on our way to the collapse of a bunch of those again. I'm sure Goldman Sachs might be teetering. Nomura, Credit Suisse, and who else? The Wells Fargo and Bank of America. Who else do you think is going to be toast? Umpqua, possibly. Umpqua has gotten in trouble for a lot of Ponzi scheme stuff. I'm sure that they don't have the greatest compliance officers in the world, and they probably done such sorts of shady things. But yeah, in '08 we had Washington Mutual, Wachovia, Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns. Who else collapsed? Sterling collapse? Sterling Savings, American Marine, hundreds of little tiny banks that I'll never know the name of, all vanished as well. Okay, get your head off the keyboard. Okay. So, quit. No, I can't pet you the entire time. I got things to do. Um, Scott Pollen, rest in peace to user Blueprints, a genuine helpful person famous for popularizing giving snacks to GS employees and theorizing the infinity pool. And now his shares are committed to that very idea. Oh, goodness. I didn't know that they had passed away. Well, rest in peace there, Blueprints. Black Udon, Houston, what's your favorite series of Star Trek? Also, you have heard or watched Isaac Asimov's Foundation series on Apple TV. I don't have Apple TV, so I haven't seen any of the stuff on there yet, so no. My favorite Star Trek. I really enjoyed Voyager a lot. More so than Next Generation or Deep Space Nine. But I think Lower Decks is brilliant. It is so funny. I highly Voyager or Lower Decks I think might be my two favorites. Yeah. I'm watching Discovery. I finally got Paramount Plus, so I'm watching Discovery right now. It's good. It's more serialized, more soap opera-ish. And then I started watching Strange New Worlds, which is much more classic. Each episode is a weird sci-fi predicament that the entire crew finds themselves in. And I like that. I like that stuff. Just in my head, do the rings of a planet cast a shadow? And would the temperature change in that shadow affect plant growth? Yes, the rings do cast a shadow. Now, would it affect plant growth? The light would be more diffused in that shadow because they aren't solid. They're pieced apart. That's a good question. I think most planets that would have somewhat stable rings would be too large for plants to grow, such as Saturn and Jupiter. And they would be just a big gaseous ball. But if a planet like Earth were to somehow have rings, I don't think that A, they would last very long without having shepherd moons, and B, I don't know if our gravity well could tear apart something at the Roche limit to create the rings in the first place. So I don't know if it would be something we'd have to worry about. Kind of a big planet problem, not so much a little planet problem. But if we were in that weird situation and a smaller planet that's terrestrial had rings casting a shadow, I bet it would affect how some plants grow. Lack of light, they'd be smaller for sure. First name, last name, Houston, thoughts on Fermi paradox? So there's the Fermi paradox and there's the Drake equation. The Fermi paradox says if life can be created so easily on a planet, why haven't we met smarter life forms by now? $13.8 billion, 13.8 billion years into this. And the Drake equation basically explains why we haven't found those intelligent beings. So I lean more towards the Drake equation side, and that is that, it takes a long time for life to form. It took 4.55 billion years from the creation of our solar system to humans existing and broadcasting our existence into space. Now, if it takes that long for life to form, then it limits the number of planets life can form on. So any of those big giant stars only last a few million years. They wouldn't be able to create life. And there's so much gamma rays and X-rays stuff coming off there. They just sanitize the surface of our plants are near them. So it's going to be left to medium-sized stars like our sun, and smaller. So like red stars, like where you'd find the Predator, probably comes from a red star because I see an infrared, and that's the dominant light of a little M dwarf planet. And it would take billions of years for that life to exist. Now, the Drake equation, we talked about this in months past, basically takes, if we assume life evolves the way it evolves for us, that's how life evolved to Earth, so we're just going to take that as our assumption. It takes billions and billions of years of evolution, thousands of years of civilization, and finally technological advancement, we can broadcast into space. Once we have that ability to broadcast into space, how long do we last? Now, that is a big question because we might be on the brink of nuclear war right now. Russia's invasion of Ukraine, China's possible invasion of Taiwan. Nuclear bombs could go off within the next year or two and wipe out society as we know it. So we can broadcast into space from the 1930s until the 2030s. So we last 100 years once we can broadcast into space. And that's it. Done, gone, no more to be seen. So the likelihood, according to the Drake equation, you need medium-bodied star or smaller. You need 4.5 billion years of that star's existence. You need no huge natural disasters, so on, for a civilization to pop into existence that can broadcast that maybe will last 100 years before they disappear. And the odds of an intelligent society like that arising in a galaxy such as the Milky Way is about one civilization every 10,000 years. And the odds of two civilizations existing at the same time in the same galaxy are very, 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 very minuscule. Basically 1 in 100 to 1 in 1,000. So the Drake equation says Fermi paradox isn't so much a paradox because it's not likely to happen. And we, like, if I were to bring up, go to paint. Oops, that's not paint. Yes, that's paint. Go file, new. I want to turn you on and turn you off. There we go. Okay. Let's make you bigger. So if we have a galaxy, want that? No. Boink. We got ourselves a galaxy. The center of the galaxy, and we're somewhere out here. And the galaxy is 100,000 light years across. I do need to get a tablet for this thing, but my desk's kind of messy. I don't have room for a tablet. 100,000 light years across. And we can broadcast 100 light years into space now because it's 1936 Olympics is Hitler being broadcast on television. So the first images going out were 86 years ago, whatever it is. So we've broadcast out 86 light years, which means we got this little tiny circle around us. And that's all we broadcast towards. Now let's imagine that 10,000 years ago, there was a society over on this side of the galaxy. And they lasted their 100 years. They broadcast out. And their broadcast is now 10,000 light years from where they started. Right here. If we waited another, 20, 30,000 light years, they might be able to have their information reach us. But if we die before then, we kill ourselves in the next few years of nuclear bombs, then 20,000 years from now, that broadcast is going to blow right past us. We're never going to hear them. Vice versa, these guys cease to exist. And so our broadcast 30,000 years from now will pass right by, the remains of their society. So the odds of two planet systems being close enough to each other to actually receive each other's signals is very low. Especially if they have short lives like we probably do. We'll probably wipe ourselves out through climate change or nuclear disaster or something sometime soon. So there may have been hundreds of intelligent civilizations in our galaxy. There may have been one next to us 5 million years ago. And now their information is going past Andromeda, another separate galaxy far, far away, and we just don't know they existed. There could be one forming that will pop up 200 years from now right next to us. And we'll be gone by the time they start broadcasting. They'll get our information. They'll be like, oh my gosh, these things exist. They're going to come here and find our smoldering remains. So that's the big thing about the Fermi paradox and Drake equation. So. Well, there you go. Okay. Well, as many intros as you want. Help the kids. Speaking of which, I should do some thank yous. Okay, where were we? Do some thank yous here. How would I leave off? Where did I finish? I think I finished at Tony Tran. And then GFont YYC, thank you. LCB, thank you so much for your donation. Everton, thank you. Bex, thank you. Anonymous, thank you. Another anonymous, thank you. Another anonymous. Oh, anonymous, just piling on tonight. Julie R, RPAC, thank you so much. Damian Costa, thank you. And is that it? There we go. Okay, so we're at $430. We're 43% of our way to our $1,000 goal. Remember, if you are watching this at home at a later date, you can still click the little doohickey in your bottom corner, the donate button, at any time from now until infinity, and click and donate and help out some kids around the world get fed. And hope you enjoyed the double intro. Double intro should be worth getting us to the $1,000 level, right? Right? Monkey was chewing on her bone and distracted me. Because it was really... It's all your fault, Monkey. It's your fault. You little bone-chewing dog. Okay, where was I? Fermi paradox. Okay. I haven't even gotten to the point where I started the show yet. Oh, and there's Legacy 10 Production telling me Houston, don't forget to record the show. To record the show. I wish this thing would just record on its own, man. But thank you, Legacy 10. Well, as for yes, Houston, what's your thoughts on NSC 003 being approved? I think it says they're prepared for the worst and they're going to do the worst they can to save themselves in the process. That's what NSC 003 is all about. Just in my head, how would an object like the Death Star even travel through hyperspace? I don't know. There's no thrusters in the Death Star as far as I can tell. Yet it travels through space. Also, the Death Star might act like those weird Tic Tac UFOs that just sort of like warp space in itself. Like, I will appear here by willing it. I don't know. I mean, things got its own gravitational body. Stuff would orbit it, so it's huge. Magic. Metachlorians. That's how it works. Andrew Stewart says, I've been watching Cold Fusion's videos on YouTube about financial crime, some pretty interesting stuff. Andrew Stewart, Houston, will Chinese real estate bonds ever get downgraded or go into default? I think they are avoiding the downgrades and default as much as they can while they can still be used as assets. So if you defer that asset, you say, hey, I'm going to defer the payments or make a forbearance or something, so you can do it in 6 months. And in 6 months, they still can't pay. You're going to have a hard time explaining why you did a forbearance again. Especially on, hundreds of billions, possibly trillions of dollars in bonds being held by these banks and institutions around the world. They don't want to write off those losses, and they still want to maintain the margin they have. So they're going to do their best to avoid saying that they're downgraded or defaulting. And that's just the nature of our corrupt system. That's why we've got mortgage-backed securities crumbling as well. And institutions and insurance agencies and rating agencies still aren't rating them poorly, just like they did in 2008. Whatever they did in 2008, they're doing again right now. They're pretending like they never learned that lesson. They're like, la 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 la. That's what they're doing. So, and essentially they're going to keep them on their books for as long as possible, make as many quick plays as they can until they got nothing left, and then they get vaporized. And that's where we are. Julianne, after MOS, I would love to get four-wheel drive camper and go find minerals I could use for decorating ceramic, earthenware, pottery. Where's a good place to find manganese and hematite? Southwest, all through Nevada, Utah, Arizona. Tons of hematite deposits. Manganese in large portions is gonna be hard. Most of the manganese because manganese is really water soluble. Most of the manganese is sort of black wash from runoff that's on the surface of rocks. I don't know if you'll find manganese like solid deposits. You may have to set up your own Glomar Explorer and go get manganese nodules off the bottom of the ocean that way. But hematite for sure. You can find tons of hematite all over the Southwest. Get one of the rock hounding books or gem trails books for those particular states, and it'll lead you right to hematite. Okay, David Wu, Houston, you are intelligent, but it seems you don't really want to take some time to look into DRS and sometimes even spread disinformation like short queues as evidence to locate shares. I don't think that's disinformation. Share location is very arbitrary. All you have to do is say Bill has some shares, and boom, you can naked short. And so yes, they can say, oh yeah, there's a bunch of shares over a computer share located, and then use those to naked short. What do you think they've been doing? Why do you think all this shares have been DRS'd and yet naked shorting continues? We see, anywhere from 20 to 50% of the float trade every single solitary day when those who own the float are not selling their shares. Those are all naked. Every single one of those shares is naked. And when they do borrow shares, they're borrowing to cover their T35 dates. So I have very little doubt that they aren't using excuse me, my throat is starting to dry up on me here. I have very little doubt that they aren't using DRS as a method of location for those shares. They don't have to buy them; they just have to locate them. That's all. LCB Houston, I now love flowery shirts. That is all good. Flowery shirts are the best. So this is an excellent. I think this is a Wrangler cowboy shirt. I love this shirt. I wore this shirt in my trailer for my Get Your Rocks Off TV show, which, if we're lucky, we will sell it. I hope so. I want to get out of this chair, be in the wild, blow some shit up, and get stuff out of it, and show you guys how to do it. Where? Someone said, great question, peace attack, but I don't see a peace attack question. How did I miss? I don't see one. Okay, I don't know. Dustin W. Houston, hello, sir. Just listen to Friday's show. We as humans could totally go to another planet and try to have sex with everything we find. It's in our reptile brains. I mean, Star Trek is an example of us just plowing our way across the universe, making all sorts of hybridized humanoid creatures. I mean, the central thesis of Star Trek is if you walk upright, you got 23 chromosomes. Let's do some ordered pairs, baby. And you can make little Vulcan and Klingon and Romulan babies all over the place. Alien butt stuff. All right. Just in my head, UK passed a windfall tax on corporate profits. Is it a pipe dream to believe it could pass in the United States? Yeah, they're doing a windfall tax on oil producers. Because, I mean, gas prices are the highest they've ever been in the United States, and profits for oil companies are the highest they've ever been in the United States. It's not... Price per barrel of oil is not any higher right now than it has been in the past, but the cost for oil is absolutely insane. What's our... what are we at right now for oil? Oilprice.com. What do you got for me? Yeah. I mean, Brent crude's at 122. That's high. It's not a record high. We've been higher. But profit right now is absolutely bonkers. They're the highest profits I've ever recorded in the last few months. And if it were actual supply issue beyond diesel in Europe, the prices would be, they'd be $1.50 less than they are now, where they were last time we've had oil prices this high. It's silly. And in the United States, they pay very little for access to our national materials. Most of the oil in the U.S. is on public lands, either state-owned or nationally owned lands. They pay meager little fees for oil leases and very little taxes. They actually get money get $35 billion a year in tax breaks from the U.S. government. Sometimes those are direct subsidies from the U.S. government. And they were begging for bailouts just a year and a half ago, when 2 years ago, when COVID was running rampant. Like, oh, please help us. And at that time, the U.S. government could have just bought ExxonMobil. Just been like, you know what, we'll just buy you, nationalize you, make it into a national company, and then you don't have to worry about, going bankrupt from this stuff, because then all of a sudden we can drill anywhere we want. We don't have to worry about leases because it's ours. That's what other nations do. Other nations have national oil companies. Norway does. Saudi Arabia does. Bhutan does. Nigeria does. All these countries have national oil companies. Why don't we? It's all from our land. But yeah, will the U.S. ever do that? I think we're too weenie to ever do something like that. We're like, oh, well, they've made their headquarters in Dubai, so now we can't do a windfall tax. Yeah, we can. But we won't. I don't think we will. Gold foil jumpsuit. Houston, I'm teaching summer school, high school English. Any tips on keeping my students' eyes from glazing over? Also, you can still buy the security that cannot be named on Charles Schwab. Okay, noted. Tips for keeping kids interested. I've never taught an English course, so that is... I'm at a disadvantage there. But to me, the key to teaching is non sequiturs. You have a game plan where you want them to learn, but you need to factor in 50 to 100% more time for going off on tangents. So if you're teaching a book about, I don't know, takes place in 1970s New York, be prepared to talk about 1970s America all over the place. Talk about Son of Sam, 77 Yankees, Pet Rocks, Grease, whatever happened to be popular at the time, people were talking about the life they were in. Go off on those tangents and build a world in their heads as to what 1970s Americana was like. Same thing if you're teaching about Shakespeare. If you're doing Romeo and Juliet, you're going to talk a lot about, King James England and Queen Victoria, and you're going to also talk about like Florence, Italy during the Renaissance, and you're going to have to like talk about the lives and the culture and the people and all that stuff. Bring a bunch of the history and current events into it, and not just specifically the characters in the books, but the life that was surrounding them. And you make a whole bunch of depth to that field, and they go, oh, it makes so much more sense now. I can now relate to these characters in this book. And also destroy expectations. Destroying expectations and making people go, huh? Is great. Because a lot of folks will say that things like Romeo and Juliet are the greatest love story ever told. No, it was two teenagers having a 3-day love affair where 6 people died. Like, these are just shitty kids being shitty. And, they will recognize that in their own lives. So it's that's how you do it. That's how you keep them interested, I think. When I teach math, especially, I go off on just the weirdest tangents of how that math is used, history of discovery, the people who discovered it, how it applies to their life. I will go on and on and on and on and on, and they may not necessarily remember the equation involved, but they'll remember at least the background to it and why it's used. And that's kind of my hope for most of these students, because a lot of them are not going to be majoring in anything math intensive. So they'll remember those stories for sure. Chad Clifford, Cosmic Lightning Warrior, has a video where an old smart dude said GME retail will be left holding the bag and MOAS. How's that possible if millions of shares must be bought multiple times? Impossible. Every single time someone says, oh, yeah, guys, you're not going to make anything, I ask them to explain how. And they can't. Like, are there hundreds of millions, possibly billions of naked shares have been created? Yeah. How do they get out of that? They just do. That's their answer. We've never been in a situation like this where retail has them by the balls and refuses to let go. But since retail has always been screwed over in the past, they're just assuming that some Deus Ex Machina is going to come in and save the day for the hedge funds. They're not. We're watching hedge funds fold on a weekly basis now. They are calling it quits. They're getting liquidated. They're saying we're just going to give back the investments to our funders, and they are recognizing that they can't hold on. Under Charlie made a stupid tweet today, basically saying that short positions don't matter. And I was like, what? Short positions don't matter. Then why is Melvin folding? Some shill named like Tiger Market or whatever replied, and he's like, oh, name another hedge fund other than Melvin that's folded because of this. And I made a list of them. And he was like, well, so what? These short positions matter. Why? Because they are liabilities against assets that they own. They're overextended. Now, just because you can have a 30-to-1 margin and survive does not mean you should maximize that margin to 30-to-1. But all these hedge funds specifically did exactly that. They over-levered. They might have been doing 10-to-1, making some money. And they're like, oh, man, we want to drive this sucker to zero. So we're going to have to create more naked shorts and increase their liability even more, increase it even more. And now they've maximized it all out. And their assets under management are just collapsing out from under them. And those liabilities are not dropping at the same rate. If you shorted that stock at $5 and it's still worth 12, you're screwed. If you shorted that stock at $5 and it's worth 120, you're really screwed. And they're holding on for dear life. The U.S. government does not give a shit about hedge funds. They don't care. They care about banks. And so they'll let those hedge funds die, and when it becomes the bank's problem, that's when the U.S. government's going to care. So, those banks, if they accept all those liabilities, are not going to survive. And that's when the U.S. government's going to have to print, they're going to have to close positions and just clear the books, and in their post-mortem, change laws and regulations and start enforcing things that have been exploited loopholes for the last 30 years. And that's where we are. And chat reset. Woo, we're at 605. Goodness gracious. Okay. Let's go back up here and do some thank yous. Where did we leave off? We left off with Julie, I think. So, Damien Costa, thank you. Julianne, thank you so much. Anonymous, thank you. What else we got here? We got Meatball Candy, thank you. Another Anonymous. Woo, Anonymous, thank you. Mrs. Kravitz, sorry, thank you. Goodness gracious, we're at $605. We are 60.5% of our way to our $1,000 goal to raise money for Care USA, who is feeding kids all around the globe. And I want to thank everybody who's donated, who's watched. Even if you can't donate, just by watching this show and having the ads pop in front of your eyes, there's just a little bit more that will go towards these kids at the end of the day. So thank you so much for doing that and being in here. Okay. Oh, my voice hurts so much right now. But we got to carry on. We got time in the world. We got another hour and change to try and get through here. Fritz Flapor. Fritz, was it Florida Pour? Flopor. Maybe the closest solar system could receive our signals, but those signals can't travel forever. I mean, they diffuse as they go out further and further and further. Our closest star system, Alpha Centauri, 4 light years-ish away. They definitely gotten our signals by now, and we would have gotten signals from them if they could broadcast. We don't know about planets in that system, if there are any, but I'm sure it'll be one of the first ones we travel to once we get interstellar travel capabilities. Which, the next 15 years, we'll probably have colonies on the moon starting to mine helium-3. 15 years after that, we'll probably start with testing hyperspace travel, fast travel through space. And maybe 15 years after that, so maybe 45 years from now, we will have fast interplanetary travel, perhaps fast interstellar travel. So somewhere in there, 45 years, if we don't blow ourselves up or melt ourselves out of existence, it's very possible that we could be have the capability to travel between star systems. That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome indeed. Mr. Pina Colada, hello. This is a message from a faraway planet. You'll probably read it in 5,000 years from now. Hi. Oh, great. Now we're to everyone making fun of me. Labo Luke, your thoughts on Charlie thinking that there's no proof of naked shorting and short seller are so good at interpreting news? No, I don't know what's on Charlie's mind, but he's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He's been like FUD central for the last few months, and he was determined. He's been saying like, everybody's wrong about these Chinese bonds. Chinese companies are going to dominate China. And Chinese companies are just cratering. And they're still cratering. Chinese economy is falling off a cliff. China will be in its first recession since post-war era. Or at least since the Cultural Revolution, probably. First recession since opening up to the West, for sure, in the last 50 plus years. But, yeah, it's yeah, he's not doing a very good job calling that stuff right now. Granny Barney said 2 power surges. Thank you, Houston. Yogi 2012 was the best space show, and why is the Jetsons? Jetsons were pretty great, but I don't want to call them a space show. They're a future show. Did they ever go to space, though? I don't remember if they ever went to space. They kind of floated around their cloud city, but I don't think I watched enough episodes to determine if they ever went to like Mars or anything. I would put Futurama above the Jetsons, though. Futurama is pretty darn brilliant. William Morgan, Fed starts quantitative tightening tomorrow. Quantitative tightening is the selling off of assets. So expect, $10 billion plus more a day of their holdings being sold off. William Morgan will process $47.5 billion a month for the first 3 months. It will increase to the full $95 billion a month for 3 months later. And they're trying to reduce their balance sheet by $7.6 trillion by the end of 2023. So that 47.5, 95 billion isn't going to cut it. They're going to have to start doing hundreds of billions a month to get to 7.6 trillion. That's a lot of money. Yeah. All right. Oh, heck. Did I miss a whole bunch of chats? Let's make sure. I may have missed a bunch of chats. I'm sorry if I did. I totally missed a bunch of chats. Okay. Let's see if there's some in the middle here that... All right. A1, Houston, I haven't been able to find anybody talking about the OTC markets during the squeeze. What do you think will happen to it during after squeeze? Well, a week after the baby squeeze in January 2021, the OTC markets all went nuts. And then we saw parity in March and again in June last year when the main meme stock squeezed, the OTC market squeezed as well. Happened again in the fall. And then when they switched to this experts only market for these pink sheet OTC stocks, those things have been popping off weird. Lehman Brothers, which doesn't exist, goes up by 50,000%. Sears, which is in bankruptcy, goes up by 400%. Blockbuster, which doesn't exist, goes up by 1,000%. So a lot of these expert market things are still forcing closing on a lot of them. And a lot of stuff is owned by us, and we're not allowed to participate except for selling. And if we're not selling, then they don't have any of those shares they can gather. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of OTC stocks that have been shorted like crazy that are going to explode during MOAS. And which ones, I don't know specifically. All of them, maybe? A big problem with OTCs right now is that the haircut meant any of the OTC stocks that trade for under $5 do not count as assets. So a lot of them got sold off to net cash. So they got hammered really hard in the last month. Take some more water here. My voice is hurting. But we'll see them pop. We'll see some weird derelict lawnmower company that went out of business 10 years ago be worth millions of dollars all of a sudden for a day, while a bunch of shorts are covered or closed, I should say. Coffee, Donuts, and Homer, don't comment, but have you seen the craziness going on with MMAT Twitter folks? No. I've been just blinders on, ignoring all of it. I have what I'm going to have, and my brother asked me to talk about it, so I'm going to talk about it. So that's where we are. I have not been looking at all. Okay, Dog Taller, I'm only doing long-dated calls rather than trying to predict short-term movements. In and out of an October 175 call already for a $1,000 gain. Yeah, I mean, you know the stock is going to have a pop and a collapse once every 3 months. So if you have something longer than 3 months, you're going to win in the end. That's what happens. You can definitely, and if you can buy a whole bunch of those, you can win a whole lot. Coffee, Donuts, and Homer, any of the big boys shorts holding those Chinese stocks as assets under management? Probably a lot of them. And they're probably desperately trying to figure out what to do with that stuff. They probably should have sold it off a month ago if they could. And they might be trying to find retail bag holders for it right now. Or some sort of equity swap. I don't know that they can try to do. Might try to trade it with a fund that's outside the United States. You know, look to their friends in Brazil. Be like, hey, if we trade with you, you're not under the SEC rules, so we'll just swap this around and everything will be fine. William Morgan, can anyone see my text? I can see your text, William Morgan. Okay. Brandon Chandler, Houston, if a stock dividend gets applied to GME, can Fidelity or any other hedge fund force a cash payout at current market value instead of the stocks that I'm supposed to be given? No. You're supposed to get the shares. What your broker will have to do is liquidate whoever created that synthetic where you didn't receive, and then provide shares with the liquidation. And that's how it should happen. You should not be given cash instead. You should be given the actual stocks, because you did not lend them out. You were given synthetics as a result of somebody selling naked, and you did not sign up to be given cash in lieu of those stocks. West Wind, I got bitten by a deer tick a month or so ago. Went on a stint of antibiotics. Doctor was hesitant to give me antibiotics, but I insisted. That's the way you do it. You want to treat that sucker before you have a chance of getting it, man. Yeah. There's a certain group of doctors that just think like, oh, Lyme disease people. Ugh. And there's a bunch of other doctors who are like, it's Lyme disease. I think Lyme disease is a lot more common than people make it out to be. Okay. Bex, I spent over a year sleeping 18 to 20 hours a day from Lyme disease. It's been 9 years and it still affects me, especially if I don't keep my food dialed in. It's awful. Man, yeah, I have a friend who was he was a strong, if little portly fellow, Soccer player, very athletic, played lots of sports, and got Lyme disease, and has been a beanpole who looked like a praying mantis for the last decade. He's been really, really brutally affected by it, and yeah, it happens, man. Watch out for that Lyme disease. Oh, jeez, my knees, dog. Just shut it. Okay. Westman also says, my chicken scratched up a bunch of old coins in the backyard. I think it was an old fire pit, former tenants. An old silver 50-cent piece was nice find. Excellent. I made my first treasure find when I was a little kid. We can bring up the map. I can show you. Google Earth. Shaboing. Where are you, Google Earth? There you are. Oh, we're already on Northwest. Fantastic. So, Bainbridge Island here was home to the 2 largest sawmills in the world at one time. The Port Blakely Mill down here in the south end. Oh, great. It's going to make me... One sec. I got to close and update this thing. Open up again. Because it's not giving me resolution. It's been open for too long. Okay. Here we go. Let's get back to Northwest. Yes. New overlays, new maps. We got it. We're in there. Okay. Back to Bombridge. You folks shall learn more about Bainbridge Island than anybody else in the entire world. You people who live on Bainbridge don't know as much about Bainbridge as you guys do. Okay, so this is the old mill pond on the south end here. This is a low tide, so it's not quite full. But this is the old mill building. This was the largest sawmill in the world, the Port Blakely Mill. And the second largest sawmill in the world was at the head of the bay up here in Port Madison. This was the sawmill pond there. The mill building's long gone. It blew up a long time ago. But I grew up on a little street. Sparger Loop. So Sparger Loop here. I grew up in a house right in these trees. And, right here in these trees. And next to us, I found an old logging camp. There's a bunch of old pull tab, Oli cans, log skids from oxen. And then I found a tin that was just full of all sorts of old coins. And including like an 1809 Alaska Yukon Exposition token, 1866 3-cent piece, a silver dollar from 1897, a couple others. And it's just, there was a logging camp there. Someone left it behind when they moved on to harvest more trees. And the entire island was clear cut at one point. They cleared all the trees off. They cleared all the trees everywhere else. And so then no more logs made to these mills. And they shut the mills down, and that was it. And then they moved on to strawberry farming until World War II. And then they interned all the Japanese, and those went away. And then it kind of became a bedroom community for Seattle. So rich doctors and lawyers and stuff, and Amazon and Boeing people all started living here. It was an easy commute. There's lots of old logging camps all over the place. There's logging ghost towns. So up here, Port Gamble was a ghost town for a long time. Now it's had a little bit of a resurgence. People have made some like little fancy restaurants and stuff in here. It's an old company town. But there's logging camps all through these forests here, which also some great mountain biking trails as well. So there's just lots going on that you can go metal detect. Okay. Come on, voice. You got one more hour. You can do this. All right. Dame Horatia. Houston wasn't as simple to just nominate for AMC board in a letter. It was rejected. Little help given when asked. Hey-ho, doubt they want new folk on the board anyway. Yep. Small club and you ain't in it. That's kind of how it works. Maybe Elon Musk is at the door. Okay. Ramesh Thayagarajan. Garajan? Thayagarajan. I hope I'm saying that right. What is your experience with geocaching? I've done a little bit. You look up a geocache in a place you go to. There was a game my friends used to play a lot before Pokemon Go came out that was built by the same people. What was it called? It was like a space game, and you have all these portals, and you have to like attack the portals and claim them for your team. And when we go on our big mining adventures, my friend always asks us to go on detours to these really weird spots out in the middle of the desert where no one had attacked a portal in a long time, and you could claim the portal for his team. So that's most of what we've done is me just kind of hanging out with him while he does that. But last year, there were some girls playing with geocaching that found a body in a trash bag in West Seattle. That was pretty gnarly. It had been like all chopped up and stuff in the trash bag, and it was happened to be where they were looking for their geocache. No, thank you. I would not want that to be me. Snoopy, you are a dog, and your neck is very warm. Yes. Number of letters. Can you explain what kind of professional we should hire after MOAS? An accountant and a tax lawyer. Those are probably two big ones. Snoopy, my throat is so itchy right now. And then you may want to get a financial planner or advisor, especially if you want to just turn your brain off and just collect annuities. That's always great. But for sure, an accountant and a tax lawyer, because you want to make sure that you pay all your taxes and don't go to jail. You know, it's great to like, oh, I got $20 million, but if you spend $20 million and you owe like $8 million in taxes, you're screwed. So you make sure you have somebody keeping you accountable and holding that stuff to the side, because you don't want to go to jail. No, going to jail would suck. But you're going to a dog kennel. That's where I'm taking you. Okay. Oh, I just dropped a big old drool on me. Okay. Scott Paul, metal tech for coins at abandoned train stop towns throughout the Midwest. Many small abandoned towns, 50 miles apart. Water tank volume. Look on old railroad maps. Train whistle stops. There we go. That's as good as excuse as any. William Morgan also says, a rare fungal infection destroying U.S. wheat crops. Well, isn't that convenient? Wheat exports out of Ukraine and Russia are going to collapse. China's got 69% of the grain stores, and U.S., the third largest producer of wheat in the world, has a fungal infection destroying our crops. Wheat prices are going to be bonkers this year. Peanut butter and jelly is going to be relegated to the rich. It's going to be a shishi bourgeoisie sandwich. Sapien, Houston. Hi, can you explain your university thesis about the universe expanding or something? That was my undergraduate thesis in astronomy, and what I did was basically look for what would be the causes of why the universe would accelerate in its expansion. And prior to Alexei Filipenko in 1998 discovering this acceleration, this dark energy causing the universe to expand, we were under three possibilities. There was the Big Crunch, which is the universe expands outwards from a big explosion, and then gravity takes over and slows it down and eventually starts pulling it back in again and whoop, collapses back in on itself. There was the so what they call it, the static universe, where it goes boom. It happened to have just enough energy that it got to a point where it was a static equilibrium and stayed. Not very likely. Then there's the Big Whimper, where the explosion was greater than that of escape velocity. So the universe would expand outwards forever and ever, but forever slowing down out into infinity. And would just get bigger and bigger and bigger, but at slower and slower rates. So those are the three possibilities based on the Newtonian mechanics we knew. But in 1998, Alexei Filipenko and his team at University of California discovered that the universe went boom, started to slow down, and then about 6 billion years ago started speeding up again and accelerating. And they dubbed the force affecting it dark energy. And no one knows what it is. So I sought out to sort of give an explanation as to what dark energy is. And my hypothesis is that all around us, everywhere, at all times, we have matter and antimatter just blinking into existence for some random reason. We don't know why. They combine, disappear, because antimatter and matter, when they meet, just blink out of existence, and it leaves behind an extra gamma ray photon. And even in your room right now, it will be happening here and there, little gamma rays flying about, and you just don't know it. And all throughout space. And so the largest gravitationally bound objects in space are galaxy clusters. So you've got star system, planets going around a star. Those stars are gathered into a larger system called a galaxy, and those galaxies are bound in galaxy clusters, and they orbit each other as well. But all of the galaxy clusters are no longer gravitationally bound to each other. They're so far apart that the gravitational pull is weaker than whatever outward force is happening. And if the outward force is this gamma ray photon left behind by these matter-antimatter appearance and collisions, then the more space you have between these galaxy clusters, the more likelihood there are going to be more of these gamma rays, and it's going to create sort of a solar wind in all directions that forces out. And so I calculated the odds of that happening per cubic meter. And the odds of that happening per cubic meter is something like 10 to the negative 80th. And then I calculated basically the cubic meters between the average galaxy cluster, which happened to be the amount of energy needed to cause the universe to expand is about 10 to the negative 80th per cubic meter. And what I did was I ran a simulation where I took average galaxy clusters and the distance apart they were about 6 billion years ago. And I said, okay, this is time zero. This is when gravity pulling in equaled dark energy pushing out. And then I calculated to today how far apart they are, calculated the gravity between them, and then calculated the hypothesized dark energy between them, and I got 2.99 to 1. So about 3 to 1 dark energy to gravitational energy, which is exactly what we find in the universe for the power of dark energy over gravitational pressure. And so far, nobody's been able to prove me wrong. My calculations still stand by today that this matter-antimatter appearance and collision is the cause of dark energy. Yeah, so that's the easiest way I can describe that. And hopefully somebody will either be like, yeah, that's totally true, or be like, no, you're full of shit, this is why. I'm waiting. It's been 16 years. No one's told me I'm a big idiot yet. I'm waiting. My throat is so dry right now. So dry. 45 minutes, Houston. You can do it. Oh my goodness, we're at $790. I should probably just thank yous. Where did I leave off? There's a couple of anonymouses, I think. Oh, Miss Kravitz. Mrs. Kravitz, the last one. Jason Blackwell, thank you so much. Casey Chapman. Seek Aster, thank you. Dunell, thank you, Dunell. And do another one in here. Reddit Lightsaber, thank you. And Fur Garcia. Woohoo, we're 800. We're 80% of our way there with 45 minutes to go. Raising money for Care USA, feeding kids all over the world, specifically right now in Ukraine and Sri Lanka, who desperately need it. Sri Lanka has no food. They ran out of food. An entire nation of how many millions of people live in Sri Lanka? $21.92 million people. So 21 million people, almost 22 million people have no food in Sri Lanka right now. None. They do not have the ability to grow their own food. An import of Chinese fertilizer was toxic and it killed all of their crops. Like every last crop in Sri Lanka is dead because of this bulk order of toxic Chinese fertilizer. So, yeah, you're helping at least feed kids in Sri Lanka. I don't know how they're going to survive this. They're bankrupt. They've defaulted on their loans. They've got no oil. They can't get around. They got no way to pay for imports. They're really screwed right now. And I think Sri Lanka is going to see one hell of a famine that we won't expect. And awful thing is, so Sri Lanka is a big-time exporter of precious gemstones. And this may lead to consolidation of foreign owners of their mines in their country. So they may lose access to a lot of their natural resources that they have, and which will make long-term problems for people in Sri Lanka. So I hope that this is a short-term thing and not a long-term problem. But your donations will totally help feed some kids, and I want to thank you so much for donating. We've got $200 more to go. We got 45 minutes to do it. So let's meet our goal. Let's raise $1,000 to help feed some kids who need it out there in Sri Lanka. Okay, all right. Gotta go past that. Gotta get to... Where am I? Just Methods. Have you ever looked deeply into Bob Lazar's story or gave his 2 to 3 hour review? Listen on Rogan podcast. Very interesting stuff. Bob Lazar is a con man. He's full of shit. He's a high school graduate. He's not a physicist. He's not a physics professor. He's never worked in the industry. He is a criminal. I don't buy into anything Bob Lazar has to say about Area 51. I'll try to listen to other people than what he has to say because I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. So yeah. Andrew Stewart, Houston, what happens if we run out of helium or other noble gases? Are we boned? Yeah. Helium is used to cool almost all supercomputers, very sensitive scientific equipment such as the particle accelerators like Large Hadron Collider, observatory telescopes. Helium as a coolant and as a supercapacitor is a big deal, and we're letting it go in birthday balloons right now. In the future, we're talking 40, 50 years down the line, we may set up a system where we just kind of suck it out of a gas giant. Because, I mean, a couple ships worth of compressed helium would meet our needs for centuries. So we may stick a long hose into Jupiter and just suck some out if we can. But it'll be a while until we can do that. And if we run out here on Earth, yeah, we're going to be having a hard time keeping a lot of sensitive electronics cool. Luigi Salazar, Houston, do you think Elon Musk is gaslighting us with the idea of interplanetary future? No, I think he honestly thinks that we're going to have an interplanetary future. I just don't think he's thought out how to make that financially feasible. Like getting to Mars, we can do it. We can get to Mars. We can set up a colony. It's just never going to be self-sufficient because there's nothing on Mars worth money. We can go to the moon and asteroids, and those can pay for themselves. But Mars itself is useless. If anything, it can be a way station. Just hang out on your long trip between the asteroid belt and Earth. I don't know. But Mars is mostly toxic, and I don't know how they're going to get rid of the toxicity that if that Martian dust gets on you and you die is not very appealing to me as a place to go. Hoshi Gaming, thanks for the show. I missed you in these shows. Great to hear your voice. Welcome back, Hoshi Gaming. I haven't seen you in a while. Yes, and we're up to $820. Got $180 to go until we meet our donation goal. Woohoo! Thank you, guys. We're so close. You guys are goofballs. All right. BW Brand, thanks me balling and on. Can't imagine an entire country's crops being poisoned by one shipment of bad fertilizer. Just insane what that country's dealing with. Yeah, what Sri Lanka is dealing with right now is something I don't think any nation has ever had to deal with. A confluence of can't grow any crops, have no fuel, have no money. They got nothing to export, man. It's just brutal. I don't know how they're going to get out of it without just straight charity from the rest of the world. And the rest of the world's facing so many problems right now. I think they're largely going unseen as to just how brutal this is going to be. And this is a nation that just got out of a decades-long civil war, and they finally ended the civil war, got peace, starting to thrive, and then fertilizer killed all of their crops, and they have no way to feed themselves. That is crazy. And it seems like it must be targeted. What what benefit is there to sending toxic fertilizer for an entire country to kill all their crops? Like why did China do it? What? They're like, hey, quick buck. Cool. What is it they want out of this? I don't know. It's crazy. Fritz Flap Ears. Oh, shoot. You just reset. I was trying to read Fritz Flap Ears and it just went away. Where'd you go? Fritz Flap Ears? Ah, there we go. Found it. You're a teacher of math, also physics. I'm curious how you see the quantum phenomenon entanglement. Are you religious because this phenomenon is seriously spooky? Spooky action at a distance. No, I'm not religious. It is very weird, and I don't know how it works. If you guys don't know quantum entanglement, essentially you can imprint on two particles sort of the same, I don't know if you call it code or position, and then you can separate them, and what you do to one will happen to the other. So if you make this one spin this way, this one will spin that way also. And they're tied to each other through spooky action at a distance, and we don't know why. It happens, but we don't know how it happens. And I don't know if we'll ever have the answer to it, personally. We can utilize it for processing information, for backup data, all sorts of crazy things. We know how to make it happen, but we don't know why it happens. Thoughts and prayers. Houston, if they're all folding now, does that mean that them closing their shorts can take place later, or should we be seeing those repercussions now? I'm curious about that. I think Melvin folding, as Melvin did some sort of debt swap with Citadel or someone else, and Citadel took on their GME plays, and whatever they're closing right now is something else entirely, and I don't necessarily know what it is. I don't know, maybe look at anything that's gone mildly green against the rest of the market, and that might be what they're closing. I'm sure there's some data science person that can crunch the numbers and figure that out. But we may not know until they're all closed and they file their last 10K or whatever. Oh, Liz, you got gallstones? Oh man, get the surgery. It saved my dad's life. So 2005, my uncle had just passed away. My uncle was 77, so my dad was like 69 years old, and my dad felt like he was dying. He literally was like, filled out his will, was saying his goodbyes to people. I was like, I'm dying. This is it. I'm on my way out. And he was born and raised a Christian Scientist, so going to the doctor did not occur to him because they don't go to the doctor. They believe this world's fake, and that anything that's bad that happens to you is just like the devil, and you can pray it away. It's like the Matrix or something. My mom is a nurse. She does not believe that stuff, and she's told my dad, she's like, you are almost 70 years old. Your daughter hasn't even graduated high school yet. You need to be there for her. Go to the damn doctor. And I was like, fine, I'll go to the doctor. He goes to the doctor. The doctor's like, oh, gallstones. Slit, yoink. And my dad was like, I'm a new man. And it's been almost 20 years. And he's still fantastic. Get that surgery. Don't waste your time on that holistic stuff. You don't want that thing to go septic. Get the surgery, Liz. It's over and done in a moment, and you will feel like $1 million when it's over. My dad is proof. He's alive today because he got that surgery. And he's going to be celebrating his 86th birthday this year, and he can still do 30 push-ups, and he can do 100 squats, and 100 sit-ups, and 30 pull-ups. He is a stud. And it's all because he got that surgery done. BW Brand, Houston, did you see that rural banks are folding in China and locking people out of their life savings? Over $2 billion in savings for rural people can't get their money. Yeah, runs on banks happen in China a lot, and they don't have a system like we do of insurance. And if they don't have your money, they don't have your money. It's done. It's gone. That's it. So, yeah, so folks are making runs on banks, and they're not. It's gone. Their money's gone. It's kind of they're learning the lessons of 1929 in China right now, and I think that whatever this global collapse is, it's going to be really, really bad for China, especially if they try to invade Taiwan. They'll just be compounded. The people who live in the cities now working in those factories, all those factories will close because the world will stop importing Chinese goods. And those people will go back to rural China and just live in abject poverty again. But at least there's going to be food in rural China, hopefully. And they won't be able to feed the folks in the cities after that. Okay. Where are we going here? Oh, we're at $1,000. Holy shit. We did it. Oh my goodness. Let's where did I leave off? Oh, Fer Garcia's last one. So Bull-ish, thank you. Anonymous, thank you so much. Another anonymous, Jim donated. Salient Sapien, thank you. Nevitz0974, thank you so much. Another anonymous. A big anonymous. Thank you, big anonymous. Another anonymous. Push us over the limit there. We're over $1,000 right now. We did it. We did our goal. Woo! We just fed a bunch of kids around the world, and my voice is totally failing me right now. Oh my God, it's so dry. Not enough water in the world to soothe this voice. I just feel like I'm swimming through pollen at the moment, and it's brutal. Okay. Thank you. And feel free to keep donating. You don't have to stop. If you want to help some kids, do it. Donate away. I want to thank you guys so much for this. Yeah, thank you for donating. And oh great, now I just got the error warning that my streaming may be buffering. I'm sorry. So you may be hearing my voice but not seeing my picture at the moment. But just know we raised $1,000 to help a bunch of kids. Another successful Charity Tuesday in the books. We have met the goal on every single solitary Charity Tuesday we've done. You guys are awesome. You guys are fantastic. Absolute just studs. And I want to thank you. These Charity Tuesday shows are just great. Even though I'm kind of feeling like a snotty, allergic to everything monster. Because it's that time of year. Man, MOAS happens. I am gone. I am not going to be in the Northwest between April and like middle of June. It's just... Peace out. I will go somewhere else for the next 2 months. I will avoid all this tree pollen and live my best life. Oh, okay. Iggy Limon, the Jetsons went to the moon. Okay, so they'd make it to the moon, the Jetsons. All right. Thank you for correcting me on that. Saying that Sapien Houston, I'm scared about NSC 003. What's going to happen? Shenanigans for sure. This will allow them to generate, I think, essentially naked shorts for their naked shorts. And if push gets to shove and they do face liquidation, their stocks are essentially going to transfer through a dark pool for a loan. And there's going to be some lender that's going to take all those assets as collateral, give them a pile of cash, and they'll be able to pay back, and then the hedge fund will have to use that cash to close positions. And that's when MOAS happens, when they're forced to close those positions. And the hedge fund will not get enough cash to deal with their 30-to-1 margin. So they're going to run out, and they're going to go bankrupt anyway. But then whoever gave that loan will have all those assets, and they'll be the ones to sell that stuff and make money off of it. So that's what we're looking at with that Rule 3. I don't trust it, but I think they're doing it specifically because they know MOAS is imminent. William Morgan, G-Money. Hedge funds never close their shorts to avoid taxes. That's why over 5,500 bankrupt zombie stocks are still listed. Yep, That's why the expert market exists, specifically so that these short hedge funds can close positions on stocks that went bankrupt a long time ago and they never closed. Try tea and honey when you're live, Houston. Your vocal folds bother you a lot lately, it seems. Yeah, this time of year, man, it is the pollen time of year when I just become a whiny allergic piece of garbage. For now, it's water because I don't have any tea. I probably do have honey, but it'll be after post show. Okay. Anthony Wilson, Houston, do you think your stalker creates fake addresses to collect your stickers, then separates the glue from the stickers, and then gets high from the glue? You know, if he's sending me fan mail and asking for stickers, then he can do whatever he wants with those stickers when he gets them. Ghost of Uniden, just diagnosed, treated Lyme disease down here in South Tennessee, where we aren't supposed to have it. Yep, it is spreading. It used to be just a Northeast thing, and it was called Lyme disease because it was found in the town of Lyme, Connecticut. And it spread from then. We didn't have Lyme disease out here out west until just, maybe 15 years ago was the first case that they discovered. And now it's everywhere. Dr. Magneto, I assume you know about the SEC official YouTube channel, the video making fun of retail. I have not seen that, but interesting, Magneto. I'll look that one up. Excuse me. Miss Missy may add a tablespoon of Jello to it. Interesting. I never heard about that either. Although Jello is delicious. I'd go for some Jello right now. Yogi, 2012, how bad do you want prescription AR glasses? I'm willing to ditch my contacts for them. I think they're pretty rad. I don't know if I had a full-blown schizophrenia if I put on just glasses that constantly had like monsters and stuff waving around. But yeah. I've been waiting for these AR glasses to make mainstream. Microsoft promised us AR glasses in 2010. And it's been 12 years since they gave their demonstration at CES. And come on, Microsoft, where are my AR glasses? You promised them to me by now. More limestone stories in there. Yeah, man, get treated. If you're feeling really weird, I mean, right now it could be COVID or long COVID or Lyme disease, but get tested. Get tested for it. Pacone, Houston, I like your shirts. Where do you find those types? This one, I think I got this at a thrift shop in Belfuge, South Dakota. Oh, cowboy town, just outside the Black Hills. I think I got this one there like 2009. It's one of my favorites. I love this shirt. It is gorgeous. Look at all these patterns. It's got the paisleys. It's got the Southwest Native American patterns on it. It's just a cool shirt. It's fantastic. I love cowboy shirts. I love Hawaiian shirts. I love pattern shirts in general. Just paisley it up. Give me flowers. Give it all to me. Catan World Explorers is the game, Houston. I don't know what that is. Catan? Settlers of Catan? Is that what we're talking about? Is that how you spell it? I don't know. It's the Houston clears his throat hour. Okay. We got more donations still rolling in. Fantastic. We're blowing past our goal. This is a good one. Thank you, everybody. Daphne, if I am moving to Spain, we'll have to pay my MOAS taxes in both the U.S. and Spain. I don't think so. The U.S., though, is one of the only countries that makes their expat citizens pay taxes back to their original country. I can't remember the other country, but if you are, like, if you're Spanish living in the U.S., you pay U.S. taxes, but you don't pay taxes to Spain. But if you're living in Spain, you may have to pay taxes to Spain as well as the United States. So look into that. Although, if you pay your taxes here in the U.S. and then move to Spain as a retiree, you may have some protections with your annuities. I would look into that as well. Ty Bolak, do you know anything about the invasive green crab taking over here in the, you say piglet sound, but I think you mean Puget Sound. I only just learned about it. Apparently it made its way into the Hood Canal now. But it's from Europe and it's just taken over everything. It doesn't have any natural predators. So they keep it in check, and it is just taking over all the spots the traditional little rock crabs in Dungeness crabs had here. Lots of things have taken over. We got Manila clams came and took over, and now the what they call Salish blue clams, which are some sort of blue clam from Japan, has started taking over, and they're gross. I'd rather have the Manila clams; they tasted better. But the Salish blue clams are actually these like Japanese violet clams, and they do not flush any sand out, and they're really slimy. They don't cook very well. I would take the Manila clams any day over those suckers. But it's just the nature of things, man. Once those things get in, it's bonkers. I have a book. I wonder if it's in this room. One sec. It might be in this room. I can't remember. Where is When Things Bite Back, monkey? Things bite back. When things bite back. Might be in the other room. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. But there's a great book came out about 20 years ago called When Things Bite Back, and it's basically sort of blowback. You've heard of blowback, like the CIA, funds and arms the Mujahideen in Afghanistan against the Russians, and then they turn around and attack us on 9/11. So there's blowback, but this is blowback that has to do with engineering or environmental control that didn't work out. Like Scotch broom was brought in to stabilize the soil on the slopes of railroad tracks, and then has taken over entire communities. If this impossible Scotch broom that can't get up, or kudzu in the south, same thing. The Asian carp from Korea got into river systems here in the United States and took over, but the brown trout from the American Midwest got into the Korean river systems and took over for all the Asian carp. And so they basically just swapped environments because they didn't have any natural predators in one environment or the other. And so we see a lot of that happening. Like there are species of starfish, a sea cucumber from the Northwest that are just exploding elsewhere in the world. And then these other mollusk creatures get here and wipe out the native supplies. It's a really crazy system, but it's a pretty good book. There's lots of examples of weirdness, like our intention to protect football players from injury by putting helmets and pads and stuff on them has resulted in fewer injuries but more deaths. So it's become much more deadly to play football than it was when we just had like leather helmets on and our brittle bones exposed. Because the safety apparatus made leading with your head much more likely than if you just had a little leather skull cap on. You don't want to lead with your head if you didn't have any hard plastic there. And that results in more compressed spines and therefore more deaths per play than we had back when there was no padding. But I wonder, okay, if I can't find it, I could probably find it here. Snoopy, I'm trying to type. Here it is. Oh, Why Things Bite Back. That's what it was. Why Things Bite Back. Scene. turn Google Earth. Turn on turn on Chrome. This one here. It's a good read. When did it come out? 2007? Oh no, that's Seller. Gotta be older than that. And 97. So yeah, it's closing on 30 years old. But I thought it was a marvelous read about all of our good intentions going bad for us. It happens a lot. Snoopy, what are you doing? You're trying to shake hands. I got 20 minutes, buddy. 20 minutes, and then we can go for a walk. How's that sound? But we're still raising money for kids. You gotta appreciate that, you big dumb oaf. Okay. Out of the way, dog. Go lay down. More water. Not enough water in the world. Where was I? The green crab question. Okay. More on the rule 3. Whoa. We got the squeaky toy. Squeaky toy's happening. Right? What's that? There you go. Go get it. William Morgan also says the cat system starts in July. It will make all trades public. Well, that needs to happen first. I would think that'd be wonderful. Okay. Drink ginger tea. That's another thing I could do. I had to just like coat my throat in honey and local honey, because local honey it apparently helps with the allergies that you have as well. Fer Garcia, Houston, what can you tell me about the Black Knight satellite? Black Knight satellite. Well, nothing, because I don't know what that is. Is that the weird spaceship that they saw out of the window? Oh yeah, yep. Yeah. Okay, it's this thing. The weird thing they saw out the window of the ISS, I believe. It's gonna be like 10 years ago now. Yeah. What is it? Oh. But there's something out there. That's definitely a drawing rendered. That's a render also. But this is the actual picture. I think that was as well. What is it? I have no idea. It looks like, it looks man-made. I have no idea the size of it, what scale it's at. If it's something small and up close or something big and far away. Not a clue. Has it ever been seen since this picture was taken? I have no idea. Let's go back. Keep going back. Back. Like I said, near pole orbit of the Earth, and NASA is covering up its existence and origin. Conspiracy theory combines several unrelated stories into one narrative. Yep. So taken. It's taken from a shuttle mission. Okay. And so it's 1998. So this is 24 years old. So, yeah, I don't know. You got me, man. I don't know. Black Knight satellite was created by scientist Martin Lawrence to look into past events, via light emissions from distant stars. Excellent Martin Lawrence reference. I appreciate it. Ronald Rose, the U.S. needs to become self-reliant again and start making things industrial dynamo. Quit sending work offshore. We do, I think, post-COVID, we recognize that it is a national security issue to have more things made in the United States. So I would expect more government subsidizing of strategic manufacturing in the U.S. than we had in the past, such as semiconductors, possibly electronic devices like phones and computers made here. Even things like tooling might be important to have, like the ability to make tools and manufacture large-scale products here. Simply because if we have to rely upon a nation like China, which is effectively a hostile state, to provide all of the devices we need, and we're finding that they're copying our designs, producing knockoffs, implementing spyware and hardware devices designed to spy on us. That's probably not in our best interest to allow them to keep doing that. We need to either in-house it or find strategic partners to collaborate with the manufacture of these things. I wouldn't doubt if we see less U.S. manufacturing move to China than we have in the past. Even a bunch of U.S. manufacturing leave China. Yogi 2012. You ever heard of Wim Hof? It's an incredible breathing and meditation technique with great benefits for the immune system. Never heard of it, but I'll look it up. People saying MOAS starts June 3rd. As good a guess as any. If that executive order pops through, it could totally, possibly, maybe do it. I don't know. Westway in Houston, you had a treasure island near where you grew up. What kind of treasure is it known for? Did this island spark your interest and current treasure hunting interests? No. So Treasure Island, I grew up right across from Treasure Island. Go back to the Google Earth. Come on, Google Earth, come here. There we go. So in Port Madison, this is Treasure Island, this little island here. It's like an acre and a half in size. It's not very big. So Bainbridge Island historically was, the Salish peoples were natives that inhabited the Salish Sea, Puget Sound, basically the Pacific Northwest, all the way up through Vancouver, this whole area were the Salish peoples. And there were coastal Salish, and then there were Salish people that lived, in the mountains and foothills and stuff. Bainbridge was a hunting ground. Correct me if I'm wrong, if people know better than I do, but it's what I've been told. Bainbridge was a hunting ground and was not home to any permanent settlements. That the settlements, they lived elsewhere, and Bainbridge is sort of like a sacred place. But Treasure Island was a burial spot. So there's lots of natives that were buried in Treasure Island. So my first 3 years of life were spent in a little home here, just on the other side of Treasure Island. My family rented a home here until I was like 3 years old. And then we moved over to the forest in this area. And Treasure Island, we always heard the Indian burial stories and haunted house stories and stuff. And there was a family that lived here. They built a bridge in the 1990s. So before you had to row back and forth, but they finally built this big footbridge so you could park off the road here and carry your groceries and stuff in. There was a family that had a really cool boat that was its own ferry. You could park a car on it and take it around the world and drop your car off on the beach. It's pretty neat. But in the early 2000s, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston bought Treasure Island and started building a mansion on it. And I actually went to, I think it was Fahrenheit 9/11 premiere at the local movie theater. And I sat like 2 rows behind Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston. And I was like, no way, the rumors are true. They're here on the island. And then it was that summer that Brad Pitt filmed Mr. and Mrs. Smith and then left Jennifer Aniston for Angelina Jolie. And the house sat there without any construction for a while. And then it sold to somebody else and they finished the construction. So now there's there's a fancy mansion in the trees you can't really see from up above, and some rich people live there that bought, the scraps of house from Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt. But they're almost my neighbors for a while there. But that was 19 years ago, I think. I think it was 2003 when that was all done. So real close to being my neighbors. But that's, yeah. I think it was just called Treasure Island based upon the Robert Louis Stevenson books and nothing else. Nothing else beyond that. It was just sort of Treasure Island. Not because there's treasure there, but we were always told, like, oh, stay away. You don't want the bad spirits to get you. So, yeah, that's Treasure Island. Where was that? Where were you? Oh, MRD's got some coordinates for me, so I may as well do coordinates so they just had Google Earth up, because why not? Charity show. We're coordinating. We're 10% above our goal. We're at $1,100 now. Thank you. I'll do some more thank yous before the end of the show. A mountain. Okay. There's a mountain. Out here in the, Black Sea? Got a mountain in the Black Sea. Not too far from Sochi. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Am I supposed to zoom in? Am I supposed to look through the time here? 1985. 2003. Oh, there's so much snow in 2003. 2006, more snow. 2015, no snow. 2019, nothing. Modern day. Well, MRD. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. We had ourselves a mountain. All right. Woo! She used to probably watch Goonies 50 times. At least 50 times. Okay. Highway Frog, I think we need to reverse people from moving to the cities back to strengthening the small town farming communities. I don't know if that'll do any good. The reason why small town farming communities existed was because farming was a very labor intensive feat, and now we've got so much mechanization that we don't need as many people farming. When the United States of America was founded, 98% of all Americans, their job was farmer. And now only 3% of Americans work in farming. So beyond, migrant workers coming in for harvest seasons, small towns really aren't going to have much going on. Maybe some folks who can telecommute, can work out in these small towns and live kind of peaceful, quiet lives and subsidize the towns. But most of these small farming towns are just going to continue to die, I think. Because there's really if one factory combine and a truck can be run by 2 people to do the job what 20 people did before, there's just no need for those folks to be out there. Okay. Whew. My voice is failing me so much right now. It hurts. Okay. Oh, drama's happening. Everybody be nice to each other in chat. You can be mean to me, but be nice to each other. And celebrate when hot boys and girls show up to spam us with their porn links. Okay. Alex Park, Houston, I live in Vancouver, Canada. Do I have to pay my income tax post-MOAS? I don't know anything about Canadian taxes with regards to capital gains made off of stocks. So, but I would say get a tax lawyer, get an accountant, figure that all out. In the U.S., if you sell more than $20 million of securities, I can't remember if it's a 13F or a 13H. It's a 13 something you got to fill out and be like, I sold this many securities. If you don't fill it out, you're in trouble. Do not give the government any reason to take everything you have and throw you in jail. Just pay your taxes. Just pay them and be happy that you made it that far, and then go from there. Contact all the lawyers and tax accountants you need and figure that stuff out. You'll have the money to pay for it all, and it'll be worth your while in the end. You'll probably find lawyers say, hey, you want to set up a trust, donate all your money to trust, live off the trust. You won't pay any taxes. There'll be all sorts of loopholes and things they'll find for you because they designed to do that stuff. We may have a show in the future talking about how those trusts get set up. An internet friend has a lawyer friend who sets those trusts up, and she wants to sort of talk about how that works because she thinks the business will be gangbusters for her post MOAS. There'll be a lot of folks set up those 501c3, some other automated trusts, whatever they're called. So I might do a show coming up here about that. Hopefully my voice will be better then. Houston, the Pokemon-like game you asked about, Catan Explorers. Was it Catan Explorers? I don't think it was. I think it was much more space age name. Like, I might have to ask. One sec. My friend who was playing all the time on our trips, I might have to send him a message. Okay, sending out a message. We'll see if he is in Hawaii, so it's 3:00 there. Hopefully he'll get it by now. Hopefully he's not at work right now. Okay. Catan Explorers. Does not seem, I don't think that was it. It's a much more space agey name. Hopefully he'll get back to me here. Let's do some thank yous. Might as well get through that before my voice goes away entirely. Where did we leave off on those thank yous? Okay, it was anonymous. There we go. Left off anonymous. And then Jeremy Gavisk, thank you. Hungry Caveman. Hungry Caveman is helping some children who are some hungry children. Sin Chan, thank you so much. Another anonymous donation. Thank you, anonymous. And does that wrap up? That wraps up our donations for now. Ingress. That was the name of it. Ingress. Thank you. Ingress. That was the name of the game. And so I guess there's like portals all over the world, and you have to go and like attack the portals or something, and then you get it. And until someone else comes along and attacks the portal. But our mining trips made all these really rare portals people would never get to because you had to like climb mountains and stuff much more accessible, and he was able to capture them for his red team or blue team or whatever it was. Okay, I got a couple minutes left, so maybe one more detailed question we can get into, and then I can finally give my voice a rest here for the day. MJ Houston, happy birthday. What happens when you hold calls on GME when they distribute the stock dividends? I have no idea. I was hoping somebody would know. I have no clue how that works at all. I figure either sell or exercise before that date, just in case shenanigans happen. I don't know how it works, and I don't want to trust myself in any answer I give. Not a clue. So, good luck. I plan on either selling or exercising before then. I don't want to be stuck with like holding the bag on something when something weird happens. I may experiment and buy one put at the money before the the dividends issued, just to see if when the price is immediately diluted, if I can make a fortune off of that one. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work, but I may gamble one at the money put just to see what happens. Yeah, is that it? And another anonymous donation. Thank you, guys. All right, we're at 6:30. My voice is really tired. I expect another Scratchy Voice show tomorrow, a regular show, Wednesday show. If I can time it right, hopefully we can do the live earnings call during the show. See if we can get that all organized. Until then, I will see you guys later. Yeah, cool. See you guys tomorrow for a regular show. I want to thank you so much for donating. And those of you who are watching the show recorded later, remember you can still donate in the corner here and help some folks out. And, make sure you record that you donated so you can use that in your taxes and whatnot. But, every penny goes straight through this site, through YouTube, and to Care USA to help children get the nutrition they need around the world. I want to thank you so much for meeting our goal and exceeding our goal. It makes Charity Tuesdays fantastic. And next Charity Tuesday will hopefully be post-pollen season, and my voice will be a beautiful timbre, and you guys will be able to enjoy it much more. All right, everyone. Here you go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ba-bam.